Alright, welcome back to our series of tutorials, and we are into the Crud applications for Angular, Spring Boot and Angular, and we have created the first video. This video is going to be video B, Crud video B, very short names, inshallah. That's how I'm going to do it. So we've seen how we ran the application, and we've seen how our application property was able to to be injected into our system, and we made use of the properties there, database name, whatever, things like that. But this is an explanation here. It says configure Spring Boot data source JPA. This is what we did. Under the source, you go to main, you go to the source folder. So please do it here. That's why I say this is the best tutorial I've seen. Look at under source. Let me take it back. Under source, you go to main, then you go to where? And I'm just assuming that I don't know how to do. Then you go to resource, then you come to where? Application.properties. When you double click, it takes you here. Then he says you should enter this. So you enter. We've already done that. You are going to specify all that you do. What is the database you want to connect with? Mysql, and this is the way to write. And then the database name, this is the port number, and this tells you localhost. Then you check on what is the root user is root. What is the password for the root user? This is my password. Then please you replace it with yours. Then the database driver, and then look at Spring database username, password, and all this. And then here it says Spring auto, that is hibernate.ddl. Used for database initialization. We set the value to update value so that a table will be created in the database automatically corresponding to the defined data model. Any change to the model will also trigger an update. Yes. So please, the next he says you should define a model. To define a model, you do this inside your main package. You create something called model. When you create the model, then you define a class called tutorial. Okay, then you make that tutorial an entity. So what do we do here? This is our structure. Let me close resource. This is Java. This is the main method, right? Right click it, come to new, create something, a package called what? Model. Inside the model, you create a class called what? Entity. Yes, with capital letter by convention, entity. So you make the class entity. You make the class sorry, not entity, I'm sorry, tutorial. Thank you. I can now another thing, I want to rename this class. What do? I can delete it first of all and create another one, or I do what we call refactor. Refactor, come to here, then you move to where? Rename. Then you check, you give it name tutorial. Tutorial.
Yeah, it's okay.
Huh?
It's okay.
Are you sleeping?
No, it's okay.
You can preview. If there is problem, it tells you that there's problem. If there is no problem, then you now say do refactor. This is the same as deleting, and so now end of what?
Class.
End of the class. End of the class tutorial. See IntelliJ, I like the IntelliJ really. So what do we do here? We need to make a tutorial. Who can tell me what to do? The first thing we do here is to bring in something we call annotations, right? The entity annotation. We want to make it an entity, not a tutorial. Mistake. This is the first thing, and you call this import from Jakarta persistence, then entity. Next is what? Table, because we want to give it table name. Okay, So here you now see
need to be importing. Let's use the asterisk so that it will import everything on that Jakarta.
no, don't do that. This is because you haven't hosted any application. When you are dealing with web application, you need to be very careful. When you do that, it will import the entire Jakarta. Do you know how many classes are inside Jakarta persistence? Only import what is needed, please. Yes. The name of it, I think he has named it as tutorial. Please, small letters, please.
Yeah.
Yes. Tutorials with S. You see the importance of bringing a table. If you do not introduce this at this annotation table, it will pick the name of the class as the name of the table. But when you introduce it, anything given here will be the name of the table. Are we there? Then we want to make use of ID, title, description, and published. Okay. So what you do, we want to do encapsulation here. The first here, let's say long ID. Then private. What's happening with the system? It's like it's hanging. What's happening? Right, private string title, right? Okay, it's not here. Private string what is it? String ID, title, description, and published. Description. Then what? Published. These are the entities we want to, or sorry, not entities, the field, member field, right? That is the columns, the field, the data element, right? The columns. But then we want to make ID to be the primary key. So the first thing you do here is to introduce another annotation that says at ID, capital I, from persistence as well. You see what it is, persistence. So please go and check how many classes are inside persistence, Jakarta persistence. We do that when we are trying to introduce you into Java, but when it comes to realistic kind of production environment, you only go for resources needed. Otherwise, your system will be very slow. Then at generated value, then we want to make a kind of want to make it auto incremental. You now say strategy equals to generated value generation type at what dot identity. So it will make it auto incremental. Are we there? So, but then all other columns, if you want to take title as it is, you don't need this at column. But if you want to make some changes, maybe you introduce title here, but in the column you want to make it titles or something, then that is the reason why you introduce this. So after doing this, we can run our application and see, and then maybe we'll make some changes for you to understand what we're saying here. So we're done with this entity. All we need to do is now to run. So what we do, we move to the, sorry, let me close everything aside this, close all other tabs. Then I want to see the content of this main application. Then I will run. It is running. It is running. It is running. It is running. It has run, I think. Okay, still running. Still running. Running. It is done. So let's check from our database what we have. I think this is too tiny. Sometimes if you are not with I don't even know how to increase this without mouse. I have to do that maybe later, or maybe we check something. I don't want us to waste time, please. You all know how to. So please let's use the database. We made it active, then show what? Tables. I have not selected the database, then show table. It shows tutorials, right? Huh?
Yes.
Then let's select tutorial and see what will be there. Can you see what we have? Then you can describe to see the structure of the table, whether it is what you wanted or not. So this is it, auto incremental primary key. So we're able to implement this here. But please look at what do we have. ID, we say big int. That's what it means by long, right? The long converted to big int. Then description is varchar. It has given it 255 like or automatically, and then to the end. But then we say description. If I want to maintain description here, look at, if I want to maintain description or title here, but in the database I want it to be titles, then I introduce column. I will now say at column. It will enable you to give a name to the column, even though you have something different here. Yes, you now see titles. So let's rerun and see. If it doesn't work, we have to drop the database and take it again, since there is nothing inside. You're not going to lose any data. That's good. Then you check from the describe it. It is still title, right?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
So now drop it and then drop the table. This is the table, right? Tutorials. Is it?
Yes.
Drop table. Table name. Run. This kind of risky codes, you immediately remove it when you are done with it. Then run your application. It will recreate it. It will create a database, already database created, but then it will so check here. Titles. Can you see? So this is the only reason why this at column was introduced. It gives you kind of way of rewriting. But then you see, can you see some dots here? Can you see some dots here? Yes, you need to do some things here. First is, you don't just stop after the fields here. You need to introduce what we call, you should write constructor for the class, and to do that you can generate. You don't have to write constructor. Click on it and you now say select none. What kind of constructor is this, please? What kind of constructor is this? Default constructor. Smith, the new one on the cable, Smith. Default constructor is a no argument constructor. Constructor that has no argument. Constructor that has no parameter. Okay. Next, we need constructor with parameter. But please, okay, let's go with that. We need parameterized constructor or parametric. Parametric constructor is a constructor that has parameter. Why do we say this is a constructor? Is because it takes the name of the class. It is a method that it takes the name of the class. It is the only instance allowed to do that. Can you recall from your CSE?
Response of the class.
Sure. It is the only one allowed to do that. Then next we need parametric constructor generate. Right click generate, then you now say what? Constructor. Then you select all what you wanted, the parameters. Okay, these are parameters. Then not necessarily with ID. If you want it with ID, you can pick the ID as well. So all this, everything selected. So select. You see, yes, I know. It's going to say no because I selected ID. That's why using frameworks is very nice. Somebody will be at the safer side, even if maybe you made a mistake. Constructor. Please you select these ones without ID. Okay. Right? Are we there? Next, what do we need? We need setters and getters. Setters and getters. They are also methods. Right click. Come to generate. I hope you are not setters and getters. Then you do setters and getters for all. And you now say all. Okay? What next? Maybe before setters and getters, I'm sorry, you can take to string, right? To string methods. One method. You come to generate, and then you now see where is it? To string. Yes, to string. Let me stop the video here. We're going to stop here. We'll continue next time.